In a world where truth is the ultimate power and opinions scream the loudest, it's time to wade through the noise.
Hunger no get tribe! Hunger no get religion!
And scan the human interest and trending topics that matter. Stay tuned to The Issues, your plug to the stories making the buzz, from politics to science and technology, social justice, and more. Let's tackle the tough questions and expose the truth. The Issues on Voice of the People Television, Mondays to Fridays, 8 to 9 p.m. The Issues. Don't just react. Understand.
Voice of the people, you can hear me now. My name is Patrick Doyle, and I wish that you continue to echo the voices of the people. Big up VOP TV.
My name is Suibifa Dokobo. Please keep watching VOP TV.
Hi, my name is Kwekumali Ikenda Onyekwena, and I am with the Voice of the People TV. Now, if you're looking for the veritable channel for information, politics, robust discussions, you don't need to go far. VOP has you. VOP will always have you. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Patrick Diabwa, aka Ibani Chuka, Amayanabo the Eagle King, and you are watching VOP TV.
Are you ready for the extraordinary? Something big is happening on your screen. Introducing VOP TV. Now streaming on SLTV channel 264. From breaking news to captivating conversations, news analysis, giving you all sides to the story. We break in-depth discussions on the issues that matter, from politics to sports, entertainment, and lifestyle. VOP TV on SLTV channel 264. Join us as we redefine what television means to you. Voice of the People Television, VOP TV. Now, you have more than a voice.
Hello and welcome to the news hour right here on Voice of the People Television. I am Choma Innocent. Before we begin, kindly visit our website. It's www.vop.ng for fresh and trending news. First, the headlines. OPS rejects Senate's planned review of NSITF Act. NARD begins total indefinite strike on Friday. Obi urges harnessing of cyber fraudsters' talent for productivity. Shoki demolitions violated court order, according to Falana. ADC accuses Soludo of trading cash for votes. And Dangote begins refinery expansion to 1.4 million barrels per day. On the World Report, Moroccan youths demand reforms and release of Gen Z protesters. In business, federal government backs local operators as Air Peace launches Abuja to Heathrow. And in sports, Nigeria faces Italy on Tuesday as FIFA Under-17 knockout stage. And in entertainment, NDREA arrests Pretty Mike and BBN's Toyo and others at a Lagos club. Now the news in detail. The Organized Private Sector of Nigeria, OPSN, has described the Senate's proposed amendment to the Nigeria Social Insurance Trust Fund NSITF Act as a dangerous attempt to hijack and politicize the management of workers' social protection funds. Rejecting the move, the OPSN threatened transparency, accountability, and the very foundation of the fund's governance structure. In a letter by the Directors General of the 5 member organizations to the Senate President, the OPSN urged the Senate to immediately halt the process, which has already passed second reading. It insisted that the proposed changes would undermine the NSITF's tripartite structure and violate international labor standards. According to the letter, these amendments threaten to fundamentally weaken the NSITF governance structure, erode accountability and transparency, and expose the fund to undue political interference. Noting that the NSITF was founded on a tripartite structure in strict alignment with International Labour Organization Convention 102 amongst others, it stated that these conventions require that social security institutions are managed with the full and effective participation of social partners. Still on workers' welfare, the Nigerian Association of Resident Doctors (NARD) has announced a total, comprehensive and indefinite strike from 11:59 p.m. on Friday, October 31, 2025. The decision followed a 5-hour extraordinary National Executive Council meeting last Sunday, where the council resolved that the federal government had failed to meet the association's demands in spite of its 30-day ultimatum last month. In a statement by NARD President Mohammed Suleiman, the association said the National Officers Committee had executed its mandate with grace and confidence, but was left with no choice than the industrial action. According to him, the council has outlined the minimum demands, strike monitoring directives, and modalities to ensure full compliance by members nationwide. Suleiman further directed all center presidents and general secretaries to convene emergency congresses to brief members on the resolutions. According to him, members have been urged to use the days ahead of the strike to hand over patients, engage traditional and religious leaders, and sensitize the public and media on the reasons for their action. In a recent development, the presidential candidate of the Labour Party in the 2023 elections, Peter Obi, has tasked the government to harness the creativity and courage of internet fraudsters, popularly known as Yahoo Boys, to drive innovation and national development. Addressing the Golden Health Conference at the All Saints Cathedral in Onitsha, Anambra State, the former governor noted that some of the so-called Yahoo Boys are geniuses who need redirection and not condemnation. Obi, while speaking on the theme, Money Beyond Wealth, focused on addressing the erosion of moral values among Nigerian youth. He stated that their creativity and courage, if properly guided, can drive innovation and national development. According to him, the challenge is to channel their energy from deception to productive enterprise, just as he expressed concern that materialism among young people has become a moral crisis in the society. Obi emphasized that true wealth uplifts both the individual and society, promoting education, reducing poverty, and creating opportunities for others to live dignified lives. The Socio-Economic Rights and Accountability Project, SERP, has demanded from the Group Chief Executive Officer of the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, NNPCL, Bayo Ojulari, a detailed account of all revenues reportedly flagged by the Auditor General of the Federation in the 2022 annual report. Published on September 9, 2025, the report raised questions about the management of multi-billion naira transactions, including over 22 billion naira, $49 million, 14 million pounds and 5 million euros in oil-related revenue handled by the National Oil Company. In a letter signed by its Deputy Director, Kolawole Oluwadare, SERP called on Ojulari to ensure transparency by identifying those responsible for any unaccounted funds and forwarding the findings to the appropriate anti-corruption agencies. It threatened legal action if the demands were not met. It further urged the NNPCL to recover any unremitted or misapplied funds and return them to the National Treasury, stressing that proper management of oil revenues was crucial for national development. Still on probity, human rights lawyer Femi Falana says the Lagos state government violated a restraining court order by going ahead to demolish no fewer than 100 properties in Owerri-Shoki, following complaints by affected residents who denied receiving any compensations. Justice Adegboyega Balogun of the Lagos State High Court had last Thursday issued an interim order stopping further demolition of properties in parts of Owerri-Shoki. However, in a statement, the senior advocate of Nigeria regretted that the state government still went ahead with the demolition, leading to the displacement of many families. According to Falana, in flagrant breach and contempt of the subsisting court order, and upon the service of the court order on them, the defendants mobilized over 50 armed policemen and thugs who fired tear gas throughout the night to disperse those protesting the demolition and proceeded to commence a fresh demolition. He added that the demolition, which he said was carried out in the dead of the night, has led to the destruction of not fewer than 100 properties and displaced many families without being authorized by any court. Meanwhile, the Lagos State government's 2025 budget of 3.366 trillion naira has achieved an 80% cumulative performance as of October, according to the Commissioner for Information and Strategy, Gbenga Omotosho. Speaking during the media chat in Ikeja, Omotosho noted that both revenue generation and capital project execution were performing strongly. According to him, Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu's administration maintains a community-driven approach to development, particularly through partnerships with local government in road construction, school rehabilitation, and housing initiatives. Meanwhile, he dismissed as baseless the claims that the recent demolitions at the trade fair complex targeted specific groups, adding that it is absurd for anyone to suggest discrimination in such an exercise. Moving on, the Southeast House of Representative Caucus of the People's Democratic Party (PDP) says they will boycott the party's forthcoming national convention if the woman leader position is removed from the zone. According to their spokesperson, Ikenga Imo Ugochinyere, the caucus will issue a disclaimer against the convention slated for November 15 and 16 in Ibadan if they confirm that the party had zoned the woman leader outside the zone. He told the party's leadership to utilize the available time to remedy the situation before the screening of aspirants if the ongoing insinuation is true. Ugochinyere warned that no elected lawmaker from the Southeast will remain in the PDP if what he described as the impending insult is allowed to happen. Meanwhile, ahead of the November 8 Anambra State governorship election, the African Democratic Congress (ADC) has accused Governor Chukwuma Soludo of voter inducement. In a post on X, the ADC spokesperson Bolaji Abdullahi claimed that Soludo has resorted to cash for votes, having lost public confidence, adding that his actions violated the Electoral Act. According to him, only a sitting governor who has run out of public goodwill would so openly resort to cash for votes, in direct violation of sections 121 and 127 of the Electoral Act, which criminalizes voter inducement of any form. The ADC further urged the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) not to pretend that it did not notice this, stating that this is a new level of desperation wrapped in impunity. The opposition party's governorship candidate, John Nwosu, had recently criticized Governor Soludo for donations from individuals, groups, and local government towards his re-election campaign, arguing that they raise ethical and legal concerns. You're still watching the news on Voice of the People television. When we return from the break, Dangote begins refinery expansion to 1.4 million barrels per day. Stay with us for these and more stories right after this break. Welcome back. You're still watching the news right here on Voice of the People television. October is observed globally as Cybersecurity Awareness Month, a campaign that began in 2004 to promote safer and more secure online practices. This year's theme, Stay Safe Online, encourages individuals, families and organizations to take simple steps to protect themselves from cyber threats. As the conversation grows worldwide, Nigerian educators and technology experts are also joining the call, emphasizing the need to strengthen cybersecurity education in schools and promote responsible digital learning amongst young people. Our correspondent, Onyeka Ogolo, has more on this report.
Held at the University of Lagos, experts emphasized the need to equip both teachers and students with cyber safety skills as Nigeria deepens its digital learning system. Professor Alishe identifies social engineering and publishing as a major online threat, urging schools to start cybersecurity education from nursery level.
When you look at cybersecurity today, is very, very dynamic. Even the kind of enlightenment we're having today, tomorrow it might be obsolete. Because why? Cybersecurity is a very dynamic course because new threats are coming up every day. And as we have new threats every day, then we should have new countermeasures. Yeah, right from the primary school, even the nursery school, they should be cyber aware because there's nobody too young. Everybody is on digital platform today. Even the young one that not even started primary school. You see a child trying to crawl. Is already struggling with the mom's phone. So everybody is on a digital space. And the earlier we introduce them to cyber safety, the better. Because cyber safety is for everybody, both the young and the old.
Level EduTech says it has trained over 200 teachers in the past year to improve their digital competence and promote online safety.
And some of the approaches is to, whatever I know is what I can pass that out to them. So one of the approaches is that do what I do, not do what I say. And if I'm going to tell them to do what I do, then I should know better. So I believe that correction begins with me, starting from me. I should be an example if I want the children to follow my example. You know, knowledge is power. So it is what they know, they can in turn practice. Like I said, the first thing is I do it. Then secondly, I pass the information. They should know the knowledge. They should know the goals, the do's, the don'ts. They should know the reasons behind it because the children of business are so curious. When you tell them don't do it, they said why. So you should be able to tell them the A to Z of the reason why they ought not to do this and the reason why they should do this. And when they know that, then you can be sure that you get a positive return.
The group is also creating digital clubs across schools to raise students who act as digital detectives, helping their peers use technology responsibly. A national robotics supervisor says robotic and artificial intelligence are the future of learning. He believes with consistent training, Nigeria can overcome its cyber readiness.
It has its benefits, and they are overwhelming. Today we talk about new normal, almost everything has gone online. We talk about Internet of Things, but then they are not even stopping there. They are now talking about Internet of Everything. And it also had its own disadvantages. You find out that students could easily get so intoxicated. They could easily get so engrossed to the extent that they don't have time to study again. They get addicted to their devices. They cannot study. They cannot even spend time with their books. And when this trend continues, what is the future of our next generation?
But some educators are worried about their growing dependence on AI tools for assignments. Mrs. Esther says students now rely heavily on AI without thinking critically.
You know, teaching the young minds who are exposed or enlightened in the tech world, you know, you can give assignments and they no more want to reason, they no more want to think, they don't want to engage themselves or their brains. All they do is copy and paste from AI, and they feel doing that they are smart. So it's really challenging. Just a handful of them can actually go back, read and digest and then give it back to you the way you want it, which we are trying to combat it, comb such from happening in the school sector. We don't just want to raise successful students who who are good in copy and pasting, but people who can stand on their own and defend their certificates afterwards.
In government schools, teachers like Omolara say the lack of facilities and limited digital knowledge remains a major challenge. She's calling for more investment in teachers' training and digital infrastructure.
We do face a lot of challenges because it's a government school, and obviously there are so many facilities that should be in place that are not in place, especially when it comes to technology now. We know we're just coming up. So now talking about using all these facilities for the students, some of them are not readily available, not to talk of reaching out to them, explaining and getting them the adequate knowledge on what cybersecurity is and all that. Even amongst the teachers. So some of them don't know what cybersecurity is. Some of them don't even know how to operate computers. And all these things have to be integrated into our learning and teaching.
Speakers agree that technology should complement, not replace human reasoning, stressing that cyber safety must become a core part of the school curriculum. I am Monica Ogolo, reporting for VOP TV.
Welcome back, and many thanks to you, Onyeka, for that in-depth report. Now, away from that, the president of the Dangote Group, Aliko Dangote, has announced that the management of the refinery will soon begin its capacity expansion from the current 650,000 barrels per day to 1.4 million barrels per day. Dangote told newsmen in Lagos that upon completion of the construction work for the expansion, which is expected to begin without further delay, the facility would become the largest refinery in the world, surpassing the Jamnagar refinery in India. He stated that 65,000 workers would be needed for the construction exercise, 85% of whom would be Nigerians, adding that the refinery would also ramp up its power generation from 500 megawatts to 1,000 megawatts. More so, he disclosed that the refinery would produce Euro 6 standard, up from the current Euro 5 spec, and would be listed on the stock exchange in 2026 to give Nigerians the opportunity to become shareholders. In a major step in its global expansion drive and commitment to educational inclusivity for Nigerians in the diaspora, the National Examinations Council, NECO, has announced the establishment of a new examination center in London, the United Kingdom. Unveiling the center during the Education Matters Conference UK 2025 in London, the Registrar and Chief Executive of NECO, Professor Dantani Ushishi, described the new Senior School Certificate Examination Center set up in partnership with Banfield Education Limited as a strategic move to extend access to credible Nigerian candidates beyond the country's borders. In a statement, NECO's Acting Director of Information and Public Relations, Aziz Sani, the body said the initiative aims to provide opportunities for Nigerian students and adult learners in the United Kingdom who have been unable to complete secondary education or obtain equivalent qualifications. Wushishi reaffirmed the Council's commitment to full migration to computer-based examinations, describing it as the single most critical strategic objective for NECO's future and its standing as a world-class assessment body. The Supreme Council for Sharia in Nigeria, SCSN, has clarified that bad governance rather than Sharia law implementation in northern Nigeria is fueling violence and division. In a statement by the Secretary of its Kaduna State chapter, Abdulrahman Hassan, the Council faulted recent comments by the Catholic Bishop of Sokoto Diocese, Most Reverend Matthew Kuka, which indicted the implementation of Sharia law, describing Bishop Kuka's remarks as a misconception that ignores both history and fact. It insisted that Sharia is neither a political tool nor an instrument of violence, but a system of moral discipline and justice deeply rooted in Islamic faith and tradition. According to the Council, when properly applied with fairness, due process and oversight, Sharia promotes justice, order and social harmony. However, it stated that most conflicts in northern Nigeria are products of corruption, bad governance, and social inequality, and not religion, adding that Sharia has been part of the lives of Muslims in northern Nigeria for centuries before colonial rule. The Cross River government says it will host an international investment summit in London from November 17 to 19 to attract global investors and engage the diaspora in sustainable development. According to the chairperson of the Central Planning Committee of the Cross River State Diaspora Commission, Ignatius Oli, the summit will highlight strategic sectors and investment-ready projects across the state. He explained that the summit is a strategic move to unlock partnerships that will fuel economic growth and align with the state's people-first agenda. Oli described the diaspora engagement as central to the state's strategy, stating that they want to connect with cross-riverians abroad and create channels for investment, mentorship, and knowledge transfer. Meanwhile, 2 weeks to the Anambra governorship election, a civil society group has organized a debate for candidates of political parties that will take part in the polls. The debate was an opportunity for the candidates to unfold their manifestos before the general public. However, correspondent Ndu Okbaleze reports that only 3 out of the whole lot turned up for the debate.
Governorship election. The event was organized at Oka by Creative Minds Center for Youth and Community Development in collaboration with Active Citizens Media, and it was tagged Voice Beyond the Frontline 2025. The team lead, Ugochi Freeman, set the tone before the debate proper.
This is a platform for us to interface with the candidates that want to vie for governorship election. It's time to hear them, dish out their profile, what are what they want to do in Anambra State. It's a platform for us to engage them and ask the right questions so that we can hold them accountable.
The 3 governorship candidates that were in attendance are Mr. Chika Jerry Okeke of Boot Party, Professor Geoffrey Onyejebu of NNPP, and Shoma Grace Ife-Melodike of AAC. They were engaged on their manifestos in the areas of security, economy, education, among others. For Ms. Ife-Melodike, when elected into office, the present Agune Chamber security outfit will be scrapped for their alleged human rights abuses and extortion. According to her, community vigilantes will be strengthened through training and equipment with modern technological innovations in security. On economy, she said the creative industries to be exploited by building a film academy in the state.
Why do I think that this will help the economy? Because when we have an academy where people, creatives or people who want to get into the industry can come and get training or educated, in this way we're going to be bringing a lot of people, we're going to be attracting a lot of people into the state. And when you have an influx of people in a particular area, it boosts the economy actively. I'm going to build an academy in the capital, Oka, in Nnewi and in Onitsha in my first 2 years of.
For Mr. Chika Jerry Okeke, youth empowerment through employment and getting the youths into leadership positions is his blueprint for drastic reduction of insecurity in the state.
One of the problems of the Nigerian government of today is that the youth are neglected and the youth are not involved in governance. The youth are not taken care of. The youth are hungry. The youth have no job. All these youths are now causing the insecurity in Nigeria and also in Anambra State. So if we want Anambra to be safe, we have to employ the youth. We have to empower the youth.
Professor Onyejebu aims to exploit the commerce sector where Anambra people and the Igbos in general have comparative advantage through fair taxation and other incentives. Onyejebu, a retired colonel in the army, also said he would deploy kinetic and non-kinetic approaches to tackle insecurity in Anambra State if elected.
I will have what is called boot camps. Boot camps in agriculture means that I will have every unemployed Anambra, whatever age, whatever gender, employed in all the agri camps I will set up in the 3 senatorial political zones.
Governor Charles Soludo of APGA, Prince Nicholas Okachukwu of APC, and Chief George Morgal of Labour Party were among candidates that did not attend the debate. Ndu Okbaleze, VOP TV News.
Many thanks to our correspondent Undu Okwaleze for that report. We'll take another break right now before more stories come in right after the break. Our The World Report, business and sports stories. Stay tuned. Welcome back. We now take you to the foreign scene where young demonstrators in Morocco have demanded reforms in the education and health sector, stronger action against corruption, and the release of those detained during previous protests as part of rallies organized by the Gen Z 212 movement. Hundreds gathered in cities including Rabat, Casablanca, and Tangier, chanting freedom for detainees and freedom, dignity, social justice. The movement previously staged similar demonstrations between September 27 and October 9 before temporarily pausing activities. However, they have announced that demonstrations will now hold every Saturday and Sunday. Meanwhile, the government has accelerated reform projects in recent weeks in the health and education sectors to address the main demands of protesters. In Namibia, President Netumbo Nandi-Ndaitwah has dismissed the Deputy Prime Minister and Industry Minister Natangwe Ithete. Disclosing Facebook on Sunday, the presidency explained that President Nandi-Ndaitwah made an executive decision to relieve Ithete of his duties as Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Industry, Mines and Energy with immediate effect. The statement added that she will take on the responsibility of Industry, Mines and Energy Minister in the interest of ensuring continuity and effective coordination within these key sectors. Commending Ithete's service to the country, the presidency confirmed that he will remain a member of parliament while assuring its commitment to sound governance, accountability, and the effective implementation of national priorities. Nandi-Ndaitwah had appointed Ithete as Deputy Prime Minister and Industry, Mines and Energy Minister after her inauguration in March. The 72-year-old won the November election, securing victory without a runoff, and succeeded Nangolo Mbumba, who served as interim president since the death of Haig Geingob in February 2024. Top Chinese and United States economic officials on Sunday hashed out the framework of a trade deal for U.S. President Donald Trump and Chinese President Xi Jinping to decide on later this week that would pause steeper American tariffs and Chinese rare earth export controls. U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent said that talks on the sidelines of the ASEAN summit in Kuala Lumpur had eliminated the threat of Trump's 100% tariffs on Chinese imports starting on November 1. Bessent also said he expects China to delay implementation of its rare earth minerals and magnets licensing regime by a year while the policy is reconsidered. However, Chinese officials were more circumspect about the talks and offered no details about the outcome of the meetings. Trump and Xi are due to meet on Thursday on the sidelines of the Asia-Pacific Economic Cooperation APEC summit in Gyeongju, South Korea, to sign off on the terms. While the White House has officially announced the highly anticipated Trump-Xi talks, China is yet to confirm that the two leaders will meet. In another development, Colombia's Interior Minister Armando Benedetti has criticized the United States after being placed on its sanctions list, stating that he has no connection to the drug trafficking allegations. Benedetti wrote on X that he was put on the U.S. Treasury Department Office of Foreign Assets Control list for defending the dignity of his country and stating that his president, Gustavo Petro, was not a drug trafficker. He stressed that he has never entered the house of even a single drug trafficker, adding that it shows that every empire is unjust and that its anti-drug fight is a sham for armamentism. The minister added that for the U.S., a non-violent statement is the same as being a drug trafficker. President Gustavo Petro's son, Nicolas Petro, who was added to the sanctions list with his father, also criticized the decision as politically motivated. We now take you into business where in the aviation sector, the federal government has reassured of its commitment to supporting local airline operators as Air Peace launched its historic direct flight from Abuja to London Heathrow on Sunday. Speaking during the ceremonial send-off at the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport in Abuja, the Minister of Aviation and Aerospace Development, Festus Keyamo, said that the achievement was a major milestone in Nigeria's aviation history and demonstrated the government's resolve to empower indigenous carriers. According to him, having been mandated by President Bola Tinubu to ensure that local carriers thrive and survive, the ministry discovered that over 100 airlines have come and gone in the last 4 decades. He stressed that the importance of the private sector in driving economic growth, stating that every good economy thrives on the well-being of its private sector as the true engine of growth. Meanwhile, the chairman of Air Peace, Alan Onyema, commended Keyamo's swift interventions, including the removal of a 4% fee on board charge on aviation imports, which he said was a challenge to the industry. Meanwhile, the chief instructor of Arco Aviation Academy, Samuel Sunday, has urged the Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority, NCAA, to improve airspace safety and professionalism by sanctioning unlicensed drone operators across the country. Making the call during the graduation ceremony for 12 certified drone pilots in Port Harcourt, Rivers State on Sunday, he warned that unauthorized drone operations pose serious safety risks and undermine the integrity of the aviation industry. Against that background, he urged the NCAA to ensure that only certified drone pilots operate within Nigeria's airspace, adding that Nigeria would be endangering both air users and the public without proper regulation. In another development, the Nigerian Railway Corporation has announced the resumption of operations on the Warri-Itakpe train service on Wednesday, October 29th. In a statement, NR